All right, it is time for Flip and Friends. I am your host, Kenneth Davis. Follow me at That's Davis. Of course, the executive producer of this show and That Davis Show, we have Ryan Bukoveski. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski1 on Instagram. And last but not least, co-host of Second City Sports, also contributor We Are Regal Radio, we have Sid the Kid. Follow him at SidKid80. His name is Sidney Brown, but we call him Sid the Kid. You see, that's why we call him the Kid. Real quick, before we start the show, we were discussing, Sid had pointed out that Ryan had gotten a haircut, and Ryan just said he busts his sides. But the thing is that Ryan is donating his hair to charity. So Ryan, when you show him the top real quick, Ryan, let him see.
Heck no.
Come on, let him see it, man. It's for the show, dog.
I'll show you the before and after.
Okay, all right. So how long is it? You can't even just show him. Is it in a man bun or something? How do you have it?
Yeah, it's up in the bun.
So let us see the bun real quick.
No way, bro.
Why?
What's
going on?
Teasing. I like teasing.
So anyway, what charity? How does this go about? Do you shave this yourself?
Yet.
But you've done this before, right?
I've done this before. I went to Great Clips, and a lot of different salons have affiliations with charities. So then they cut it and they'll send it in. I'm deciding how much length I want to get cut off first, because I think you can do between 8 inches and a foot, depending on certain charities. So I might go a little bit shorter. I don't know. I'm going to look up different salons with their association and then decide from there.
You sure that they're not just using it and selling this like that Brazilian yaki? Have you seen because how they do it in like India, where like those people donate their hair because like for their religion or whatever, and then they go and they sell it, and then it's in bundles in the streets of the south side and west side of Chicago. That's where your hair's going to end up.
Well,
on Shaniqua.
No, they're going to kids. At least I've been told.
Drape it. Here, little Timmy. I feel like Ryan.
Right. The best would be like some kid that has like fire red everywhere, and then this dirt brown wig of mine.
Right. So they clean it themselves. How do they clean? So they clean it themselves. I would take it, right? They don't trust that you've actually cleaned your hair enough for you to donate to someone. How does that work? So they wash it before they cut it on your head?
I think every place is a little bit different. Normally, because I've heard, I don't think this happened to me the first time, but sometimes they cut off the dead ends before, and other places will just cut it. Just not even without the dead ends, they'll keep it. So you could lose like an inch with the dead ends being cut off. And then I don't think I got shampooed the first time. I think they just literally put it in the tie, measure out the inches, and then
filthy ass hair.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hey, it gets clean some other time.
Sure it does. These little poor kids. But no, everybody out there, if you got long hair, if you're draping like Ryan, do something good like that and take care of these kids. I would take care of these kids that are going through any type of chemo treatment or something like that.
Yes, I think the first one that I did for sure was wigs for kids with cancer. And I think all of them are just about there. But then, of course, you've got women with cancer that you can donate it to. You can do it, kids with just hair loss, not associated with cancer, just they have some kind of whatever going on, and they need a wig, whatever kind of symptom or disease that doesn't allow for hair growth. So stuff like that.
All right, good going, man. Good going, Ron. So we just want to open up before we get into the hystericalness of this histrionics of this show. Do something polite. So anybody out there in general, it's the giving season.
I want to see Sydney do it next.
Cindy, can you grow a full head of hair?
It'll take a long time, man. I do not want to go through that, especially in this part of my life.
So, like, you're not bald up top in general?
No, I do that manually every other day. So this is not natural. So,
man, you don't want some hair, Sid?
No.
Why? In the wintertime. You never know. It may get you on fleek. Like what used to be a good look 20 years ago is totally different now. Right. It may start getting you a little bit if you grow your hair out.
I mean, you don't want to just like rub and feel the hair underneath it.
You ever just rolled the window down and had your hair blowing in it?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it feels good. It feels nice. When you feel your hair pull back, you're like, I got a little length right there. I'm just telling you, sitting listen, I'm telling you what to help you. I know, you know what I'm saying, maybe this will help you with the white sisters, but with the black sisters, what you could do is grow your stuff out and then ask the sister to braid you up. And then that's the way you start to sit there and get your swerve on. Like, yeah, let me get that braid. Listen, Matt, see, if you get them braids, listen, real full disclosure. So I remember senior year, I had grew my hair out. And I didn't really care because I wasn't even trying to like holler at the chick senior year. I felt like I had won. So I was like just chilling. And I wasn't even getting a taper because I was growing it out because I was going to get like a curly fro. So I sat there and it was a friend of mine that they used to ride to school with me and my boy every day. And I was over her crib, and it was me, her, and her boyfriend at the time. And we go on 87th Street, right here next to Walgreens. It's a beauty supply store. Walking in, I see Angel's mother from The Awakenings. And I was like, hey, you Angel's mother. And she was like, yeah. I was like, all right? So anyway, we go in there, and I get a band too. Right, so it's this perm, right? And I had texturized my hair growing up, but I was letting someone else do it. So we sit there, we go get, and I get extra strength because I feel like, you know, I need super stuff. I want, you know, being a dude, you always overdo it, right? Give me that extra strength. It could just got a regular one. The super strong. I want the line like they used to do with the 5 heartbeats and the temps. Be like, my hands burning, right?
I don't know. Is strong good enough for me? I think I'm gonna need that extra strength.
Right, nuke. You got nuke in the back?
Yeah.
So anyway, we go and we put it in my hair, and actually it's the S-curl pattern is there. So actually, and I crossed my mind, we put it in, and the stuff is so strong, it straightened out my hair in about 3 minutes, which it shouldn't, like that's strong. You know, it can take, like if you ever use like a Duke or S-curl in your hair, you know that usually like you leave it up in there and it's gonna have the wave pattern. My hair, and I'm sitting there, we combing it, my hair's just going straight, and I'm like, man, I think I've just straightened out my hair, right? So make a long story short, I'm like, damn, I'm like, was this a setup? So I go home. I remember putting like a do-rag or something on my head. I wake up, that was like a Saturday night. I wake up Sunday morning. I do like this and I touch my hair because I'm hoping it was a dream, right? And I touch my hair and it feels like my scalp because my hair is straight, so I'm touching straight up my scalp. So
you turn into Marge Simpson over there?
This is still getting to why I said, I'm telling you, this can help you. You're out. You never know. So anyway, I go to school that Monday, right? My hair, I got the Pat Riley, right? Straight to the back. I got the Pat Riley. I'm about right, baby. I'm about right here with my
Alexander O'Neal do.
Ooh, yeah. so I was watching the Alexander O'Neal video early this morning because my sleeping patterns are all off the place. So about 3 o'clock this morning, I flipped past an Alexander O'Neal video. So it's surprising that you just brought his name up. So anyway, I'm in school or whatever, and one of my guys that lived in Atlanta was my barber, right? And I hadn't been going to him because I just let my hair grow out. So I told him, I was like, listen, after school today, you are cutting this mess off, right? Like this is gone. Listen, that perm was so strong that there's still a part in my hair. For real, like if my hair was low, like if I had a really low haircut, you would see a natural part because that bad boy burnt that lane open right there. It's a natural part somewhere like around here or something, right? So anyway, I'm in school that day, and this young lady comes up to me. And it wasn't someone that was on like my radar necessarily, but it's on the radar of a lot of guys I was cool with. And comes up to me and was like, shit, I may give you some now. And I said, damn, I need to cut this shit right now.
Wow, okay.
But it's just saying people have different, when I listen, because I think she like folks from the man. I was looking like, hunted folks. I was looking like folks from the hundreds at that point. Straight to the back. Like all I was missing was getting like some finger waves in that bad boy, right? Like it was like in between finger waves look. Like, oh, you got that good perm. No,
she needed that Showtime Pat Riley in her life.
Right. But anyway, Sid, I'm just telling you never know what you can get with some braids on top of that head.
Can we do like a bet or something where we get Sid to grow out the beard and just a little bit of hair? I want to see Sid furry up in the face.
But Sid has grown more. Sid's worn the Michael Jordan goatee before, I think.
Yeah, I could. That's the only thing I could grow out there that grows out real fast is a goatee. I used to do that when the Blackhawks are in the playoffs. I've been doing that for the past decade. So that you're talking about the part that grows out real fast for me. And that's the goatee. I don't know if you've seen it too much, right? Or Davis, you've seen it a couple times. So
yeah, he'll rock a goatee
with a little Michael Jordan in the background there too.
But yeah, Sid, how much we got to pay you to grow your hair out?
I'm not taking that offer.
Oh man,
I'm not taking it off. I love this look. I've been doing this for the past almost decade and a half. As soon as I turned 30, I was like, I need a new look.
Guess what? You turned 40.
Yeah,
and you just turned 40. So guess what? It's time for a new look. All right,
new one.
It's a new decade.
No.
Let that go. It's a new decade. All right. I don't know if this was inappropriate or not. Ryan sent this over. This is from the Huff Post.
It's probably inappropriate then.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel stuns Barack Obama with an absolute filthy personal question. I'm gonna go ahead real quick and share this so that you can sit here and at least see it, and you'll get the gist of it. I know, Ryan, that you're gonna have to drop this up in there. Share this audio.
So, a personal question. I asked this question of your wife. I interviewed her in Tacoma last year. And she told me that, she said, the next time I see you, I will tell you the answer and I will tell you a story. But I haven't seen her. So, on the night you did kill bin Laden, did you and Michelle make love?
Did she say she was going to answer that?
Yes. When I read the book and you were talking about hearing people outside the White House chanting USA, 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 I had an image in my head. I did.
I suspect that she was asleep. Because the truth of the matter is, most of the time, by the time I was done working, she'd be snoozing.
Right.
So Michelle goes to bed about 9 o'clock.
You don't have to make excuses. It's okay. I experienced the same thing.
It's a lament.
That could be. That's a good title for the.
All right,
man. Jimmy doing them wrong.
Wow, it's just think because It's funny, especially I guess it's especially when you're looking at war. I guess you have to call it a war in a way, or an enemy and killing an enemy. To think like after you killed your enemy, the first thing you want to do is go have some sex. But again, I never killed the op. Perhaps after killing the op, you're more aroused, and it's like, man, I got to go get this off of my chest. But just even think about it. Like imagine Barack, because we all saw the image in the war room where you had Barack, Hillary, a bunch of commanders, so on and so forth in there when SEAL Team 6 was going after Osama bin Laden. And just for me, it would seem like to add to this, if it actually took place, what Jimmy Kimmel was saying, like after they killed bin Laden and dumped his body in the ocean, that Barack just started popping bottles, right? Just like, I got that motherfucker. Right, him and Hillary around that bitch like they just won a championship, right? Hillary's sitting there because we got Chris Bosh coming. Chris Bosh is a segment later, sitting there like Chris Bosh porn, right? And Barack comes stumbling up the steps and shit like, Michelle, take that shit off, right? Like, I caught that motherfucker, right?
Hey, we did it. We're doing it.
So that to me, just it's funny because when we do shit that's inappropriate all the time. But just to sit there and actually think about asking someone that question on national television, that takes some gonads. You really listen. You got to have some equity built up to get away with that one.
Yeah,
with the former president, right?
I think he has. Yeah,
right. You got to have a lot of equity built up to be like, but man, did you bang your wife after murdering that man?
Like, you know what I thought of? Did you see the movie 300?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to see this on Twitter when he's, like, in the beginning standing naked and just put, like, Obama's face and he's worried about his kingdom. And then he has sex with his wife.
But whoa, another kicker? What business do you have asking my wife that? It's one thing if you ask me that, right? How dare you be asking my wife if I hit her after we took out the op? Like, that's crossing the damn line.
And, like, he's saying Michelle was going to answer the question, so he felt like he could answer. Is he using Michelle's wording? Like maybe Michelle was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll answer that for you."
Right.
And now he's trying to use that against Barack.
So yeah, that one was a bit much, but yeah, enough of Jimmy Kimmel asking about Barack banging out shapely Michelle Obama.
I mean, that would be some tough, some really good sex, I would imagine.
You want the tape?
Well, check the tape, right?
Listen,
official review.
I got a lot of respect for Michelle Obama, so I wouldn't want that to be in the streets. I don't even know Michelle Obama or Kelly tape out here in the streets or whatever.
We don't want no Michelle Obama.
I would have to keep that one. Like if I found that, I would have to keep that buried for the culture and not allow it to ever reach.
You'll find it in D's basement, like
I know.
Bootleg of Passion of the Christ right next to it.
On the same leg. He just passions in and then goes straight to
it's like Passion straight and then the Obama sex tape just like slanted.
So there's not a set amount if you ever had that tape. There's no set amount that you ever release it.
Not on Michelle Obama.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to Michelle Obama, and I probably wouldn't do that to Beyonce.
Like,
anybody else?
Nobody wants to see her and Jay though.
No, it's not. Yeah, I agree with you. That's the bring down part. Even though it's nice to know that you want to see Barack Obama, but
hey, that's my president.
I know, right? My president is black for real. Like, you are black. All right, yeah. Switching off. Ed Norton. This is from Yahoo Entertainment. Came out and he was like, I'm not a political pundit, but I grew up with a dad who's a federal prosecutor. Who was a Marine lieutenant who served in Vietnam before becoming a federal prosecutor under Jimmy Carter. He said, I also sat in a fair amount of poker games with serious players. Norton is an avid poker player, card shark rather, we know from the 1998 poker thriller Rounders with Matt Damon. This is what he had to say, though, about Donald Trump. I don't think this is trying to make his base happy or laying the groundwork for his own network or the chaos that he loves, continued Norton. The core of it is, he knows and he's in deep, multidimensional legal jeopardy and defines every action we're seeing. Number one, a tactical delay of transition is to buy time to cover up evidence and suppression. Two, above all, it's the desperate end game in which it is to create enough chaos and anxiety about a peaceful transfer of power and fear of irreparable damage to the system that he can cut a Nixon-style deal in exchange for finally conceding. But he doesn't have the cards. His bluffs after the flop has been called in the court. His turn card bluff will be the escalation of a river card bluff. He could be really ugly. But he says to be called, he will not let his demonstrability in the U.S. have to deal. I'm sorry, but they have to be called. We cannot let this demonstrability in the U.S. into a deal to save his ass by threatening our democracy. This is his play, but we can't junk in his hand. So he called it. Real quick, he also said, but this is a contemplable treasonous serious assault on the stability of our political compact. Isn't about the 2024 personal enrichment or anything else or anything trying to use in chaos and threat to the foundation of the system of leverage and trade for a safe exit. Real quick, before we even dive in this, Ryan, do you play poker?
Not too much, a little bit.
Okay, but this one was a good one. I hadn't even read it before putting it in here. Like to think that, listen, I'll say this. If that's the reason he's doing it, it's masterful. All right, like it's masterful. If he's sitting there doing this to negotiate that he won't get locked up, hats off to you, Donald Trump. All right, like hats off to you.
That sounds right? Like,
I see you. Yeah, that would that would but the crazy part about it, it would sound logical.
Yeah.
Right. And how often do you hear logic coming from Donald Trump? You know what I'm saying? But it would sound so logical. And I mean, the crazy thing is too, remember, Trump is a huge Nixonian in a way. Like you pay attention to a lot of the stuff that he says, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a huge Nixonian. So wow, if he listen, but you know what, to be honest with you, Democrats would probably do it with their little bitch asses. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably would be like, okay, we just gonna do it like this anyway because we some bitch asses. You look, because the fact that we're sitting here still playing footsie with this motherfucker while he's doing this. And I'm watching the news last night, this morning again. I'm up in the middle of the night. And they're sitting there talking about Joe Biden is going to his grassroots donors because they can't get the money from the ASA. So now he's going to people asking them to donate so they can kind of get up and run it. Like, do you know how preposterous that is? Like, people just gave you money to win the election, and you're coming back and y'all trying to play nice instead of full calling this dude out. Call him out, dude. It's not going to be peaceful. You already know that, right? So I know you're trying your best, and also the fact that Joe Biden turned 78 yesterday. Damn, that dude is old as shit. But whoa, brother, you are old.
Trump would have been the oldest president, right? If he had won.
Yeah, I believe so. If he had won it, I believe so. Or during that 4 years, he would have been the oldest president. But now it's the 78-year-old guy that's going to be the oldest president ever. 2 years from 80. All right, like
he's going to be 82 basically when he's out.
That's like death with his sickle is just waving that bad boy rhythmically.
Forget Kamala, that's his running mate right there.
Right.
As I said before, he's the Dick Stockton of politics.
Facts. So
man, they needed COVID to bring Dick Stockton from the grave this year.
You got a lot of Dick Stockton hate.
He just doesn't look right when I see him. I feel bad for the man.
Flipping.
He had a nice grave 6 feet under, and they dragged you out for this.
That's messed up, Brian. All right. So one thing when we're going through, and then another thing too, getting into this next topic. We saw yesterday was the first day that Trump popped out. He hadn't popped out publicly in a long time, and he kept going with the lies as far as I won, right? I won. Right. But the fact that for 5 months he hasn't met with his COVID commission, and COVID is rampant. Like, dude, you see how many they canceled the Clemson? They postponed the Clemson game, right? I mean, just think about this last week. How many people you saw? Garrett from the Browns, right? Like one of the best edge rushers during the week. They're like, you're not playing. Like so many people you've seen, and you've seen people every week, but this week you've seen it crazy from colleges to the pros, where people are just sick for the last week and a half, I would say. And then we know that our numbers are climbing, and you're still not even talking about this whatsoever. You're not even addressing it, right?
Because he's covering up his crimes and stuff.
Right. That's what you're worried about, not these people dying because you can't focus on being connected to anything that you deem as losing. It's very childish, to say the least. When the people's, listen, listen, you think I would prefer not to have been wrong about Matt Nagy? Right? I was wrong. Right? That's like, I'm gonna keep being like, man, Matt Nagy, the greatest coach of all time, man. Like, no, I was wrong, right? He's a bad coach. I mean, he as a head coach, he's straight. But what he was supposed to do, he's terrible. All right. And if he can't do that, then in all fairness, there's no reason to maintain him as a head coach. So he can go. But I mean, that's the same as COVID being out here and you're not addressing it and acting like it's just going to go away. And I'm talking about a game, and you're talking about lives, and you still haven't done the things that you need to do.
Well, that's just his MO, right? Like every time he does something right or allegedly good, we'd always hear, "Oh, I did it." Anything that went wrong, oh, it was that person's fault. Oh, it was him. It was them. They stopped me. Da 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 da. So I mean, that's kind of like just his presidency in short, right there.
Mm-hmm. His life,
right? I'm just going to ignore what I want to ignore, which is tough problems, and I'm going to take credit whenever I can. Right.
So thing that popped up now, and we know that we didn't get another stimulus package and take care of some of the issues that are related to COVID. You have from USA Today, cash-strapped renters nationwide say their landlords tried to skirt COVID-19 eviction moratorium by changing locks, removing trash containers so waste piled up, and in one case, attempting to unbolt the front door right off an apartment. Damn, right? This is like the show Schitt's Creek. They told the state's attorney general that I guess neither one of y'all watched that show. They told the state's attorney.
I just started watching it. It looked pretty interesting.
We did too, but we're still in season 1. That's when the doors got taken off the handles. All right. So, did you start in season 1, or you just started?
I just like had it was on TV, and I just kind of
you just jump in anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy you are. You just jump in the middle.
Hey,
you nasty.
You know it. You know
yeah,
it.
Exactly. That's why your hair needs to be washed before you give it to those kids.
Don't have to.
They told the state's attorney general that they were kicked out of their homes after landlords accused them of violating tenant rules, like smoking cigarettes inside of the units or failing to take the hitches off their mobile phones. Like Heidi Steck, who lost her job due to the pandemic and fell behind on rent. They assumed they were protected, but Stack says her landlord found an end around to Wisconsin eviction ban. Instead of starting a court process, he sent her a notice to vacate this summer because he was not renewing her lease. The type of informal extrajudicial eviction is a workaround, a patchwork of emergency state and federal rules created this year to prevent landlords from ejecting tenants in an unstable or crowded living arrangement during a health emergency. Eric Dunn, director of litigation at the National House Law Project, said since the pandemic started and courts froze their docs on a moratorium, we've seen a huge spike in tactics from landlords to get people out, including changing locks, cutting off utility service, refusing to make repairs, making threats, providing misinformation, and any other creative way to accuse someone of lease violation that fits the exception in a moratorium. Tricks and intimidations behind the scenes add to more overt effort by landlords to legally evict tenants, with statewide bans largely expired by the Federal Protection of Citizens Disease Control and Prevention moratorium nearing the final days. That's just messed up. It's on several levels. Let me like, your government is supposed to take care of us in this situation, but those landlords also got to get money too, because they got bills that need to be paid also. I'm not even just saying this is some of these tactics are just messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like that is going a bit too far. That is going too far. I shouldn't say a bit too far. That's me being rude. But still, like if I'm going to be out on the streets because my tenants aren't paying me anything, what am I supposed to do? But again, I feel more for the tenants, but also like people, you look at landlords and you think, saying they're living high off the hog, and some of them, those landlords are living check to check, basically like you for the most part. So you can't look at them all as a monolith of evil. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these people need their money because this is how they were planning on paying off their bills and whatnot.
Yeah, I think there's probably some terrible landlords out there that are using these tactics because they have wind of a new tenant that would start paying them. So it's I can have money. Let me just kick these people out. And to your point too, there's plenty of very wealthy landlords and landowners that are charging rent that could definitely stay afloat and don't need you as much currently to pay the bills. And they're probably being a little greedy, but I'm sure not all of them are. But the ones that you talked about, the landlords living paycheck to paycheck, because they're definitely out there. Yeah, you feel bad for them and you feel terrible for any tenant. I mean, now is not the time to be figuring out where you're living when we should all be quarantining inside our domiciles and not being out on the streets whatsoever. Like, it's for everybody. And obviously, you need money, you need to eat, you need to pay for things. So drastic times, drastic measures. But like you pointed out, Ken, the government should be stepping in here. Like, we don't need anybody out in the streets just because bills can't be paid when a virus is going on, and this isn't anyone's fault. It's just everyone has to deal with it the way that they're dealing with it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ken. I can see it from both sides. Like you said, all tenants are not terrible, but not all landlords are crooked either. I was reading a story off of CBS2Chicago.com about a month and a half ago. There was a landlord that you guys were talking about relating to that story, that he couldn't pay his bills because there was a couple of tenants in his building. They have jobs, but because these tenants were basically hustling the system, taking advantage because of what we're going through right now, not paying their rent at all. So they've basically been living, quote unquote, free for the last year and a half, buying expensive stuff and just spending money on foolish things. And this tenant asked,
what was the stuff, Sidney? Give us a description.
I can't remember what it was specifically, but I know it was like clothes and something else to that effect.
Probably electronics.
Basically, you could say like that. That was the gist that I picked up from the story. But this tenant was complaining like, well, these people couldn't pay their rent. It's not like they fell on hard times. They had enough money to buy all this material stuff. They could pay their rent, which I agree with them on. It's like I feel sorry for those people that really have had hard times. Then those people that I'm talking about, they make the people who are really struggling look bad. And I get it from the tenant side that those people that are taking advantage of the situation being crooked, that's just not right.
I agree, but I want to look good during the pandemic, and my rent, I've spent $200 on something ain't the same as paying that $900 to them. I may not have that. So, and how do you know what type of electronics I have in my apartment, sir? I'm just asking you that. Huh? Like, so
Prove it.
It's funny. This kind of bleeds into this next topic because, and it's a good topic, but one of the things that this topic doesn't address is it's privilege to it, and it's from Yahoo Life. It's real quick again. Flipping Friends. I'm Kenneth Davis, Ryan Bukoveski, and Sid the Kid, Sidney Brown. But one of the things that it pops out is, why do we have a 40-hour work week? Depending on your career, that affects your life very directly, even if it never crossed your mind. It's also a question at the heart of a viral TikTok by management coach Emily Bastadores. Her video, which has more than 1.6 million views, explains why she believes a 40-hour work week is tragically outdated. Emily begins her video by noting that the concept of 40-hour work week was created by the Ford Motor Company, which we were talking about earlier before the show, in the early 1900s. As Emily points out, the concept proved effective for industrial jobs to ask people to perform one repeated task. However, so many of today's jobs are project-based, meaning they involve complex and constantly different tasks. Emily says the standard week doesn't really fit with that kind of role. We roll around this 8-hour per day framework in an industry where it doesn't make sense, she explains. But just having someone keep themselves busy for 8 hours, you're losing so much productivity. Emily went on to note that Ford's 8-hour day, 5-day work week working style was created in a different era. Back then, most women stayed home and commuting was completely different. Additionally, Americans didn't have technology to efficiently work from home. This framework has created by one man and one industry 100 years ago, and we have not improved. The management coach suggested that every industry do the same critical thinking and seeing the type of work week suits their employees. Real quick, she said, I feel like COVID proved that we don't actually need to be in office anymore, which again is privilege. I'm privileged from this. We definitely need improvements. Other commenters brought up countries like Japan, Germany, where examples of a 4-day work week, this is one thing I was thinking about reading this, have often been seen as to boost productivity. Early in 2020, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern suggested that her country move away from the typical 5-day work week. I think we should have 4-day work weeks. I'll say that much. I definitely believe that. Her point about project-based is true. Like, I have a lot of flexibility in my schedule. I can get up in the middle of the night and start working on some things if I feel like it. You know what I'm saying? But again, one thing about this, going back to the other subject about with the renters, you're talking about people that may have jobs. And we've seen this from COVID, where people of color usually are the people that are in the service industry and they can't work from home. You know what I'm saying? So one, those people get sick. Those people either lose their jobs because their restaurants aren't open, or they're not open in capacity enough to really break even or make any money. And it's just all the types of jobs that usually you have people on the lower end of the spectrum working. So this is a great article, but it leans towards people of privilege more, and usually those people don't look like me, but I'm lucky enough that I do benefit from this instance. So I will wonder how this will apply with other industries, but I do believe that we have to free up more time for living. We cannot just sit here and live in a world where basically only 2 days out of the week you can do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, when you really think about what life is about, that's right. Fucked up, right? That's really, think about like 300 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Right? Man got up and looked for his food all day, right? And basically did whatever the hell else, But now, depending on if he was a hunter or gatherer, or depending on if there were some people that was farmers or whatever, you know how long that both of them take. But still, the gist was to put food on the plate, get food on the plate and fur on your backs, basically, and to create weapons out of bones. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at now, like we kind of build reasons to still use that framework instead of looking at how to efficiently cut it back. We one, because they don't want to pay you. Because listen, I'm gonna pay you hourly, right? Instead of pay, like, even though, you know, people get paid salary, but even with salary in a way, you're still kind of getting paid hourly
especially if you work overtime.
That's what I was just about to say. If you work overtime, it lets you know, because they back in the days how they used to get you like, yo, sorry, you get overtime. It's like, no, you just can't use me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you're still on an hour, you're still hourly basis. You know what I'm saying? But just because I want to sit here and say, well, listen, I need 8 hours of your time, or even the thing of having an office space, like I want to be in here watching your ass. Because the job gets done and it's done well is the only thing that's necessarily important. But again, everyone doesn't necessarily have the benefit from being in those types of industries where they can still make a living while the pandemic has been taking place.
Yeah, I think this just kind of speaks to the overall jobs problem that we have in this country moving forward. Like, you know, everything's all about specialization. And then you got robotics coming in. You're seeing like all these fast food places, like they're gonna be on robotics. They might have 1 or 2 people working, something like that. And then everything else is gonna be taken care of by kiosk and cooking machines or whatever. And it's gonna be just like Ford Motor Company, just pushing out tacos, pushing out burgers, whatever. And then you're going to see all these other industries affected by that. But the people at the top, the businesses and all that, you know, how many jobs are they creating for people? And I would think with a 4-day work week, that would work so much better. You could hire more people. You can keep your business open all week. But then maybe not everybody's being overworked constantly, because usually what do? Oh, well, let's just, if we've got 4 or 5 jobs and this person can do that, we'll just hire one person. And we'll let them do 4 or 5 jobs, and we'll boost them slightly. We won't pay them for 4 or 5 jobs. Maybe we'll pay them for 1.5, and we'll say, "Hey, you're making good money." And then, like your point, Ken. Like, I mean, what is the point of living at that point? Just making a company and ultimately a few individuals very rich,
right? Yeah,
so that you can just have enough money to survive, and then have a couple days to yourself.
Right.
It is stupid.
Yeah, picking back off your point, Ryan, you might see this. We always say, we talked about it before many times on the show about the fast food industry, in particular McDonald's. They started this about a year or so ago. But you may see this in grocery stores too, and Walmart's, and these department stores too. You know, some of these department stores already shut down due to this pandemic, but you might see it in Walmart and some of your favorite grocery stores as well. So maybe only 1 or 2 people working. And where I one of the grocery stores that I've shopped at, you still see some lines here and there, but they're pouring most of the people to your check yourself out line. So you see more that's starting to grow slowly as well. So just want people to pay attention to that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, automation.
If you're a young person and you don't have much money in your household and you want to get a job, you might not be able to get a job soon.
Well, you know what? To be honest with that, those jobs have been taken up by old people anyway. Like, we always say this. When I was in high school and you was going to that fast food window, you was like, let me get right, because it was using some honey. You was like, it was some babes, all right, pulling up to the window. It is nothing but grandmas, and I mean like 40-year-old grandmas, not like 60-year-old grandmas. Grandma, like those are people's jobs now, which tells you how bad the market is. Like, I mean, maybe, I don't know if teenagers want that. You do see teenagers in there, but you know, when we were younger, it was all teenagers and a manager, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's basically what the fast food industry was. Now, I would say maybe it's half and half. It depends on the time of day too, half and half. But it's more, seems like it's leaning towards adults in those roles, trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, you know, some of these people lost their jobs, can't get another one, so you have to work at McDonald's. And if you're a young kid, I mean, depending on where you live, your household, I guess you can get away with not having a job for a while, potentially. And man, that's got to be rough. You can't find another job, so let me just go to McDonald's, and that's my new full-time job.
Well, Ryan, you can sell drugs. So,
especially in Oregon.
I'm just saying, it's so. I mean, I'm joking, but this also is not for everyone maybe doing something illegal, but it points to
why OnlyFans.
Hey, that's not hurting nobody though.
No, but maybe all of a sudden, if you're a girl with any type of attraction or a guy, let me just put my naked body on the old internet.
Legal prostitution.
I saw a clip on someone's social media that was like, you only made $26 all month from your OnlyFans. You need to just go ahead and put your clothes on, sis. Listen, it's funny, real quick, with full disclosure. We were having a discussion, a household discussion after the night about OnlyFans. She'd asked me a question. And I was saying, like, some people, OnlyFans stuff is not, something that's sexual or anything. It's just, like they're artists or something and they have OnlyFans. But I was like, yeah, but I think a large majority of it are people trying to sell some type of, sexual fantasy or something like that. Right. And I was telling her from when Dedrin had told us about how people on the dark web snatch those OnlyFans off and sell them, and they make even more money than the person that's the OnlyFans. And it was funny. An older cousin of mine had sent me OnlyFans of Malia. This is the girl that used to be in Drake. She used to be in Drake's first video, or one of his first few videos. And also he would always rap about it or whatever. Wow. I see why some people may. Because I was like, man, why would you see, sir? Why would you pay for it when it's all on the internet? Listen, I was like, listen, I would not spend my money on OnlyFans, but I did feel like I should send her a few shekels.
Is there a donate button?
I'm just saying, listen, I know you get paid for this. Some piracy sent me. Some pirate sent this. Sister, here you go, because I see you. And think about how long Drake been out. She was popular when Drake first came out, right? And this looked like a current video right here, right? She held up very well, very, very well, to say the least. Sorry. I have to bring the honesty. I have to give you something if you're going to spend time with us. I can't be out here and be on BS and acting like it's saying 24/7. Oh, I'm just trying to be a regular person telling you about regular lives and stuff. It's nothing to hide. I'm a grown ass man. She's an attractive woman. I even told her later. It's like, man, he sent me this. I'll let you know how bad. Let you know how bad she was in that video. Well, you're like, man, let me tell you what I see. Woof.
Whoa.
Whoa. See it if you have it. Well, I forgot. You don't want to see a beautiful sister.
Brother every time. Strikes again.
Every time.
All right.
Is she white?
She light. Kind of light though. But, all right. This one is coming from the Up All That Smoke podcast. His career, but also kind of talking about what happened during the end of their run down in Miami with Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, and necessarily how he felt about how things ended down there at the end of their run.
Clee talked to you and talked about amongst you three. How did you find out he was decided to go back to take his talents back to Cleveland?
Through a text. Through a text, I thought it was BS, and then about 10 minutes later, it's everywhere. I understand it. I get it. At the time, I didn't understand it. At the time, in my mind, I was ready to put the team back together so we can, because we had just lost. So we wanted to put something back together so we could win. And it really didn't go like that. I took offense to it, to be honest with you, at first. I was only thinking of how I felt about it. And I'm a competitor. And, to be honest with you, when you go back to the locker room and Brian ain't in that chair, and then everybody's kind of looking at you for that 25 points and looking at D for that 25 points, it's like, damn, man. Shit, my knee hurts, But you realize how we really did realize how special of a player he was. But at that time, I was, I'm super competitive. I was upset. It still worked out for everybody. But I was upset, and it took some time to get over it. I want to say it took months to get over it. You know, me and we had to be in the same place and talk about it. Nothing deep, but just talk and get back to the good terms, and get back to where we were. And I'm glad we did, and it was tough to deal with, but at the same time, we had to get back to a mode of not rebuilding, but getting more out of ourselves and out of our team, and not always having that easy thing to rely on number 6 to do his job, and you're gonna get 20, 28, 8 and 8, and all I gotta do is this. It shuffled things up.
All right. So now, obviously, Bron's gone. That's giving you and D Wade more responsibility back on both your guys' plays.
I thought Chris Bosh wanted him to leave so he can get some of those touches and points.
No, he just wanted that money that he was either going to get from Dallas or he was going to get right there, because Chris Bosh never wanted to go home to Texas. We all know that, right? But still, I mean, my only thing was I've always admired – Chris Bosh has always talked about, one, with Kevin Love, that, playing for LeBron, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot, because noticing that he was going to be the Chris Bosh person, as far as D-Wade, for the most part, especially initially, was still D-Wade. Remember, they took that season until D-Wade was like, Bron, it's your team, go with it. But D-Wade still basically got to be D-Wade for the most part, even though he slightly took a step back, and also he was getting older and he was missing games. Where Chris Bosh had to totally change his game and become this 3-and-D player, basically. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, when you think about his range of defense, when people kind of say, like, man, that was a big 2, you're not really paying attention to basketball-wise all the stuff that Chris Bosh was doing defensively, as far as switching off, and like how well he was playing necessarily, and how he basically had to give up his play, because also this is a time where LeBron first started playing more in the post. The those years in Cleveland, initially when he got down to Miami, people was like, man, why don't you take your ass down to the post? All right, so there's not even any space for him necessarily down there. Plus, how often would they want him down there when you have 2 perimeter players and they want spacing anyway, because neither one of them are great 3-point shooters? You know what I'm saying? But to hear him say that, man, I had this and he was taking all this off of me, that was I want to say it was disheartening, but it's kind of like, so how much of this was, what I'm saying, you were giving up something, or you were just like, well, go ahead and do it then. So that's the only thing that jumped out to me. I feel a certain kind of way if we had a 4-year run to the finals and you text me. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, again, I mentioned this with Hillary Clinton at the beginning of the show. Maybe when he was pouring that wine all over himself, praising the Browns, like, I don't know how close we really are. I mean, I'm joking, but yeah, you got to hit me. You got to listen. You know what? You got to call me. Like, if we ain't got face to face, you owe me a phone call. Just a straight like, listen, bro, I'm sorry. I know we can sit here and run it back, but I got something to do. I got to go, and I apologize, but I got to be true to myself. But don't text me like that. And we really ran together. Now I understand if this was like Birdman, you know what I'm saying, or like, somebody just said, end of the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like
Udonis Haslem.
No, you can't do it to Haslem, because that was his team. You can't do it to you couldn't do it to
Mike Miller.
No, Eddie House. What was the little guard from Cleveland? Mario Chalmers too, but it was the little guard from Cleveland State that they used to always talk about.
North Cole.
North, like, you can definitely do it to North Cole. All right, you don't do that shit to me. All right, I'm like, for real. You hit me. Listen, you get me and D-Wade on 3-way or something. All right, and let alone D-Wade should have been like, because remember, D-Wade was out somewhere with LeBron prior to him announcing it. He knew before Pat Riley did kind of think how I was going to go or whatever. But like, you can't do me like that. But see, how would you feel if that situation had played out and you were Chris Bosh?
Yeah, especially after we've been through 4 straight years to the finals with a back-to-back championship seasons in there, I would selfishly, I would have felt that way too. Like you say, things didn't end well in that 2014 season, losing to the Spurs, but we went through everything, good, bad, and different together. At least if you don't want to see me face to face, what we doing right now. Give me a FaceTime, Skype, or whatever. Just send it a text and not even if you send me a text, just say, "Oh, let me talk to you on the phone," or "Let me set up a face-to-face meeting with you." If he didn't do that, then that's a problem, especially if someone that you worked with closely throughout your past 4 years, day in and day out. You don't have to be the best of friends or like each other in any way, but it's all about respect at the end of the day.
Right.
Man, I mean, LeBron riding that bike to the stadium all the time. Can't ride your bike over to Chris Bosh's house real quick? Yo, Bosh, I'm out.
Yeah, so
the kids will start running with LeBron.
That's what I was thinking.
As he goes.
The kid's gonna be behind him. I'm out, man. I'm gonna go. Right.
He's gonna tell the crowd, "Hold on. We gotta make a stop here." Yo, Bosh, I'm out. All right, let's keep going.
What? What'd you say, bro?
And check your phone.
Oh man! All right.
Real quick, Ken, does Chris Bosh belong in the Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame?
Hell yeah, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. It's the best. Listen, let's not forget, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. He went to the finals 4 times. He was one of the key players during his career. Because during his career, you could say he was a top 3 power forward at certain particular times. You also got to remember the power forwards that kind of was popping during his time was the fight between Kevin Love and Blake Griffin. Now think about that.
Yeah.
This isn't Chris Webber, Sheed, Dirk, Kevin Garnett. You know what I'm saying? Like this isn't like those guys. Like this was like. Now, I mean, mind you, we were like, when Kevin Love was rebounding like that, we was like, damn. And when Blake Griffin finally was healthy, but I mean, in all fairness, this wasn't an era of great power forwards at this time. So, I mean, he is better than both of them. I mean, period. All right. When you look at what he can do, what he did defensively in Miami was spectacular. All right. Like, especially to be someone that's that long and tall, you know, like Shawty was getting low. You know what I'm saying, on that switch off. So yeah, I will put him in the Hall of Fame off of he went to the finals 4 times. He won twice. He was one of the key players involved in it. Yeah, I put him
11-time All-Star.
Yeah, I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying?
And his career was cut short a little bit too. We can't.
Yeah. I mean, he probably be still playing now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you really
he'd
think
probably be on that Heat team that just went to the
right. I mean, he would have probably just left. That contract would have ran out around now. He probably would have in the last year moved it to free up cap space. But he would
have been on the Bulls.
He would have been somewhere. Somebody would have paid a 7-footer that can shoot and is agile. Now he wouldn't be as agile as he was back then, but he would. And again, he's not this person with the ferocity that they have, but he would be like old man KG with the Celtics playing 5. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be, and it wouldn't be the same as Chris Bosh, the same as Kevin Garnett was the same as he was in Minnesota. But yeah, you 7 foot, you can last in the NBA for a moment if you're not hurt, and
especially with his arsenal of offensive, like he was a shooter, or he could do a little bit at the elbow. He can put the
ball on the court. Yeah, you can do a little bit of it. But yeah, last segment, something took place Thursday night. Sid, I don't know if you watched it because I know this isn't your cup of tea. Initially, it was supposed to be T.I. versus Jeezy, which was kind of like, what the hell kind of matchup is that, right? But and Jeezy had mentioned that, you know, he had asked Gucci Mane to do the verses with him, but Gucci politely declined. 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, a switch. It was Gucci and Jeezy. It was appointment viewing in my house. We were more in our younger age where we were Jeezy fans because that motivation. Jeezy, in a way, connects me to Nipsey Hussle because their music put a battery in my back. I kind of say Jeezy is 1.0 and Nipsey is 2.0 because Nipsey had more of a plan as far as what people of color and people need to do with their money and stuff like that. If you listen to his lyrics and stuff like that, but both of them made you, as Jeezy would say, let's get it. Like let's get this money. As Michael Phelps, remember, Michael Phelps is a huge Jeezy fan, right? That's what he used in the Olympics to get him going because Jeezy puts a battery in your pack. With Gucci, he was probably a little bit better, more. He's a tad bit more ignorant, but more refined as far as clever with what he does when he's rapping. But clone Gucci, for everyone know, because Gucci isn't as crazy as he used to be after coming out of jail. was back to being Gucci. Goodness gracious, listen. I was watching, right? And I was typing in the comments after it get mad at me. And I'm like, why are you mad? She's like, because what if someone sees your comment? I'm like, who cares what I'm typing? She was really like, you should stop. And I'm like, who cares? If they don't agree with me, what does it matter, right? So we're sitting there watching it. And if you didn't see it, one, initially I was leaning towards Gucci because Jeezy wasn't giving enough energy. It was like, just play the song. It's like, nah, you gotta be there. You gotta make us connect and feel the track. You just can't put it on and just sit there like this. You gotta, and you know, for the most part, Gucci was standing the whole time or whatever. And the younger generation, and it's funny because even though they came out at the same time, because of like going in and out of jail, because of the situation that they fell out about. Because if you didn't remember, that they did the song So Icy. And Def Jam wanted that song to be on Jeezy's album. Jeezy's quote unquote said he didn't even like the song, but there was a falling out because of that song. It was a Gucci Mane song, which the kids love. And this is part of the reason the kids love Gucci. Like I used to watch my little cousins and my little brother, they used to sing that song like, ooh, so I, and that's like, that song is kind of corny, right? But they would sing it and sing it. And I would pay attention to how they drifted towards Gucci. Like, just like people like Tony and stuff like that, they're more Gucci people. You know what I'm saying? Like when Tony was talking about his little sister didn't know that Jeezy was even a rapper. She thought that he just went with old girl from the Chat, the Talk, or whatever show that is. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that View format show that his fiance or his wife, I think they're married now, his wife is on. She thought he was just that lady's husband and he's not Jeezy. And Tony was like, no, he sold so many drugs and killed people. It was funny. It was a joke. but to sit there and when we were watching it, and Gucci's is going in. Oh, let me get back to set the story. So, and this is for people that didn't necessarily know, like City. And I'm not even saying this is City. I'm just pointing out. So then said, Jeezy makes a song basically and put money on Gucci's head and said, give me that So Icy chain. I'll pay somebody so and so much money. Gucci ends up getting kidnapped by somebody signed to Jeezy's label CTE. So it's like, I believe it was two dudes and a lady. I don't know if they're drinking or smoking or if they're playing cards. They're doing something, and they got Gucci in his house with them. They kidnapped him, right? These fools, unfortunately, I hate to say it, someone leaves their pistol right close to where Gucci can pick it up. Gucci grabs the pistol, starts shooting, and bails out a window. He hits and kills the dude that signed it to Jeezy's label. So basically, it's like Jeezy had a hit out on Gucci, and Gucci had to kill someone to get away. That's where their beef comes from. It's not a play beef. It's a real beef. You know what I'm saying? So during this, they're going back and forth, and Jeezy's trying to kind of calm him down, and Jeezy's he's being very calm while Gucci's being disrespectful. So Gucci goes to this song where it's a diss track, but he says it on the track. It's not a diss track because it's the truth, but he's talking about, and unfortunately we kind of hear this here, and I'm not going to say what they say here to the gangs in Chicago, but he's talking about smoking on, I forget what the friend's name was. It was 2 something, but he was like, man, that's a disrespectful thing what they do with the ops nowadays, and that happens here in Chicago or whatever. But he was just like, man, and Jeezy was trying to like calm down, like, man, it ain't about that. And he was like, man, I told you I was gonna tell my truth. And even though Gucci's being, you would call it disrespectful, remember that he don't know what they were gonna do to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was kidnapped. All right, like, you don't know what they about to do to you, right?
You're
like,
kidnapped and there's a gun.
Yeah, and then on top of that, and I was getting to initially why Gucci's rollout was so slow before he became Gucci, right? Because it took like maybe 5 years before he just took the soul out of the next generation. Those kids, they love, like, Chicago drill music comes from his veins, all right? Like, that's comes from his lane of trap, and then Chicago did something different with it, especially sonically or whatever. But when you sit there and you think about the fact that this, dude is sitting there saying this crazy stuff, but he almost, like, his career could have been over. He could have been dead at 24. Now look how old they are. They're both 40 something. They're at least 40 to 43 probably, right? And they could have died right there. But, and I was, like I said, I kept leaning towards Gucci because he was giving more energy, even though, like, the songs, I really kind of fuck with both of them, but Gucci is Jeezy's a cleaner package because of like Def Jam. And he actually has albums. Well, Gucci just did a lot of mixtapes and just pushed out a lot of music, so it wasn't necessarily curated. So sometimes, like, it's a lot of stuff you could just kind of throw out of there before you kind of get to the gym sometime or whatever. But the thing was that swayed me to Jeezy was when Jeezy basically finally got through to Gucci and was like, look, man, this is for the culture. Basically, we need to stop. Like, we're not here to act like what we were acting like 15 years ago. And then Gucci goes on to say, you extended an olive branch to me and I accepted it. And at that point, it's already like I'm watching them like, when are they gonna do the mixtape, right? Like, oh, I know, if you could tour right now, the tour would be being discussed if you could tour right now. But listen, watching it, I was like, this is gonna break the record for Versuz. And I've watched a decent amount of almost all of the Versuz at least. This one was epic because of what it meant, though. Like, this was huge hip hop beef, and for it to be squashed to a certain extent now because Jesus kind of did the car wash as far as he's made the rounds on Friday and popped up a lot of places. We haven't seen Gucci yet, so we got to see what Gucci has to say to know where his headspace necessarily is. But it's still, it was dope. I mean, I hope they can move forward. They don't have to be best. They don't have to be friends. They can just be cordial. But it was still something epic to actually see it take place. That was a dope. I'm happy that Gucci actually did it because that was the one that I think all of us that were still kind of messing with hip hop around that time. That was the one even if you really weren't messing with hip hop and you just noticed the backstory, it was something to necessarily see if it was gonna go left. Because I told Afton, like, I think they're gonna be wrestling. I hope, I was like, if they're in the same room, it's gonna be some wrestling going on or something because I can't see it happening or whatever. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. Ryan, did you happen to partake since you are a whore to the Black Hawk?
I did not partake.
Not a whore.
You know what I really like about it that you just talked about? I mean, all year long, we talked about how many young rappers getting gunned down. Like, it's great to have that example. Like, maybe that saves a couple people moving forward. Like, just understanding, like, it's all stupid. Like, in 15 years, if nothing happens, you're going to look back and say, man, that would have been really dumb if I did that. And I would have really hurt not only like the community, but the hip hop world, the rap world, everything. Like, everything gets punctuated with that. And you know how important music is to people, period. I mean, it's a lifeblood for a lot of us. And when you get robbed of, good talent over stupid stuff, that's the worst. So hopefully this is a great example moving forward for everybody.
Sid?
Yeah, I can agree with most of what Ryan says. If you're battling over stupid stuff and lives are being lost, it's just not worth it. It kind of reminds me of the Tupac Biggie thing, although it was something totally different between two other different people. Of course, both those gentlemen lost their lives tragically. So, if it's about the music, just make it about the music instead of just having outside elements and stupid stuff ruining the purity of music, whatever art form that you're doing. So, like you said, Ryan, just losing lives over silly stuff, it just doesn't make any sense.
See, have you watched any of the Versuz?
Not really. I read reviews about a couple of them, but I haven't really watched any of them. I really haven't had the time to watch any of them.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's around the time you'd probably be going to work anyway. So yeah, but it's been a couple that you may have enjoyed. Like, you didn't, the Erykah Badu, Jill Scott one.
I heard about that one. Yeah.
The Teddy Riley, who did Teddy Riley go? Babyface one. See, that's right there for you, Sidney. You should have.
Yeah, I heard that was.
You would have loved that.
You
would have loved that. Teddy Riley started this whole Teddy Riley was gonna give us a concert. Listen, the funny thing is, what Teddy Riley kind of tried to do is what ended up becoming what it was. Because initially, because of the pandemic, people were doing it in two different places. And Teddy Riley was like, man, I'm gonna put on a show and be dancing and out here, and we're gonna be doing all this. And really, it was the Bounty Killer, what was the Bounty Killer Beanie Man one, where they were together. That was the first one, and I think that's when people kind of was like, oh, they need to be in the same room. And then you got Jadakiss and Fab was in the same. Like, ever since then, John Legend, Alicia Keys in the same room. That's when it became. That's when they found the true formula. is when you can sit there, test, and get these artists together. And that's the way to do it, instead of trying to really use Instagram, strain Instagram by having someone from one place being another, because it's too wonky, really like that. So there are been a couple, if necessarily you didn't care for the Jeezy versus Gucci Mane. They're still from, generation. I want to see some of those older artists. Yeah. Also, real quick, they had they had Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle. Sid.
Yeah, I heard about that one too. I know Brandy and Monica had one too.
Brandy and Monica had one, and Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle, they brought out Dionne Ward. Like, you're telling you, something for everybody on there, man. You're messing up. You're losing out, Sydney. You need to be part of the culture.
Real quick, I hope Versuz will do this to teach everybody, including our young listeners and viewers out there. The greatest rap battle, period. I don't give a damn what you say. Kool Mo D versus LL Cool J. I'm done.
First of all, let me tell you this. I was more of a Mo D guy back then. All right.
Me too. I love them both. I was more Mo D.
I love them both. But Mo D ain't got the hits to run up on LL. I'm just because you gotta have 20 hits, Sid, to do it. You have to have 20 hits. Now he can try to use some of that Treacherous 3 stuff, but I mean, I don't even know if you got enough hits if you use the Treacherous 3 stuff with the Kool Mo D stuff. I get it, but it's just like, for instance, like Snoop Dogg battled DMX, which was like you could tell it because of Swiss being involved. Because DMX was trying to get Jay-Z to do it. And it's like, come on now. But the person there's only like 2 rappers, if there's 2, they could probably take on Jay-Z. There's Snoop. And Snoop didn't even use all his good stuff on DMX. So he's planning to do somebody else. There's Snoop, maybe LL, but see, sometimes you want the persons to kind of be around the same time, because the listeners you can know if you listen to both of them at the same time. Even though you would think, I'll say this, even though with like Jeezy and Gucci, you could still see 2 different generations when, as far as the fan base was. I was watching like 21 Savage this morning, and they was just going in with all the lyrics to Gucci shit, right? Like, it was like, well, someone saying, it was like, boy, y'all are passionate, right? Like, y'all are, but so that's part of the problem, Sid. Like, you want the genres to be close. And again, you could do that with LL and Kool Mo D, but you got to have the hits, because sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, so now it's T.I. versus Lil Wayne. Now, Lil Wayne should win this. Lil Wayne has, but the problem with T.I. versus Jeezy, people forget, and that's how people was like, man, who the hell is T.I.? It's like, dog, T.I. basically, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, T.I. crossed over. Like, T.I. had, before he got locked up again, Chevy commercials. I mean, just like you gotta know how big T.I. is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't throw anybody in there with T.I. Busta wants that T.I. smoke, but then T.I. uses the fact that they come from different eras as a way to say that they shouldn't necessarily battle. But again, just want to point it out that was good to see Jeezy and Gucci Mane, regardless of if there are any. And I'm not saying I think there are ulterior motives, but regardless of if there were, what it means to see people to know, man, you got to let go. And I mean, I hate to say let go when somebody had to die, because that person's family still lost somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If that person had kids, their father isn't there. So it's easier said than done by all means. You know what I'm saying? But to a certain degree, man, we got to heal. It's especially when you come from people that have already basically born with drama from just generational drama and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So again, it was definitely a appointment viewing. It was enjoyable to a certain degree, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, usually you want to see people enjoy being around one another. I'm not the type of person that likes to watch a car crash necessarily. But yeah, that's it. Always, you can check out Sid and his articles on We Are Ricker Radio, and also on Second City Sports with Lakina McGee. Ryan and me are going to find out if we're going to do one show this week and how we're going to do it as far as over this Thanksgiving period. Everybody, go out. No, don't go out. Stay home. You don't have to give thanks to people exterminating the First Nation people here. We all know that was really fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But give thanks to the fact that you're still here. It's been a lot of people that aren't here this year anymore. You know what I'm saying? And we're all still lucky to be here. You know what I'm saying? Especially with what's taking place with this pandemic. So just be thankful for yourself. Even if you're spending Thanksgiving alone, be thankful that you're still here, man, because, there's a plan for you. You know what I'm saying? So just, we're entering a new year. Be here and do better. That's all.
we've gone through so much of 2020. Like, this is the time to be thankful.
You're
Thankful
right.
that we're here and that it's coming to an end and maybe a brighter future tomorrow.
Maybe, because we keep predicting 2020 is going to be like rose blossoms and honeysuckle, and it may be like, no, devil 3-4, bitch. Like, you know, like, whoa, like you want 2020 back is how bad 2021 could be.
Oh, God.
But, right,
that would be terrible.
Right. Hopefully not. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Pfizer and Moderna. Hopefully not. Get your 2.0 vaccine on. But yeah, we definitely always appreciate it. Be safe out there. Listen, it's not even worth it trying to move around out here all crazy, especially if you got people you care about. You want them to stay alive. You got your grannies, your mothers, and your people with underlying conditions, man. So don't be selfish. That's all I really want to say. We look forward to talking to you in a week or so.
Happy Thanksgiving. We go.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy yourself. I'm not saying that shit.